Welcome to this video. I'm gonna be reacting to Plants vs Zombie videos, or you could just say PvZ, because people just say it different ways. But if you don't know what Plants vs Zombie is, well, it's a popular game. You defend your house from plants. Defend your house from using plants. You have to defend it from zombies. Yeah,
I bought the strangest seeds I could find, and the next day, one of them started shooting. The other one started creating sunlight. Sounds insane, right? That's what I thought until the zombies showed up. Hey everyone, my name is James, and today I'm heading to the plant market with one goal: to find something truly strange and try to grow it at home. If you enjoyed this video, support the next part with a like and a subscription, and I'm off to see what they even sell here. So far, everything is too proper, too safe, too predictable.
Grandpas.
Cacti are fine, but today I want something I'll have to tell a separate story about later.
Yeah.
Everything here is familiar. Basil, mint, rosemary.
Plants.
Tasty, useful, but not surprising at all. With every minute, I want more and more to find a stall that looks like it shouldn't even be here.
Why does Crazy Jake look like that? Look at those eyes. Will you spend the night with this guy for a week for $10,000? Oh, you won't. You only get $10. Which one do you choose?
Finally, a stall that looks like it was brought here from a completely different universe.
True.
From that moment, I already knew there was no way I was walking past a stand like this. The seller made it clear right away that this wasn't going to be a normal conversation. I honestly tried to understand at least something, but it wasn't getting any clearer. And at that point, the explanation didn't become clearer, it became much stranger.
Look at those plants.
There was a zombie drawn on the paper.
Wait, what?
And at that point, the explanation didn't become clearer, it became much stranger. There was a zombie drawn.
He was like a wit.
And at that point, the explanation didn't become clearer, it became much
Because it
stranger.
goes so fast. Look at that! He got whipped! Something ate him or something. What's going on?
There was a zombie drawn on the paper. Yes, a perfectly ordinary, ridiculous zombie, presented as a serious warning. Judging by the pantomime, I wasn't being offered just plants, but a personal defense system. Of course, I didn't believe in any zombies, but the merchandise itself was already too good to just walk away. Sometimes you don't have to believe the seller's story to realize you still want to take the thing home. The more closely I examined the packages, the less it looked like a prank. In the end, I paid. Pure curiosity, and maybe just a little because of my collector's instinct for strange things. The more closely I examined the packages, the less it looked like a prank. In the end, I paid. Pure curiosity, and maybe just a little because of my collector's instinct for strange things. When a seller sees you off with that kind of look, you start doubting that you bought just a gardening kit.
And who wants?
I was still laughing then. As it turned out later, that was a mistake. I got home already determined to find out exactly what I had been sold. When the items line up in a row, a strange purchase suddenly starts to look almost like a serious project. I started with the most down-to-earth stage, simply preparing the soil. So far, everything looked completely normal, and that only made me let my guard down even more. The first seed was a sunflower. At the time, there was nothing unsettling about that name. Into the soil it goes, and then we wait, the way any normal person waits for an ordinary flower.
His hands will get dirty.
The second packet was already more intriguing. After the market, I was ready to expect anything from it. And this is where the main unsettling document of the evening entered the story: the instructions. Sunlight makes sense. No surprises there yet. Fertilizer also made sense. It still looks like a normal planting process. But this already sounded strange. One won't grow without the other. What is that even supposed to mean? All right,
Because
first
it
we do
makes sense.
everything by the book
you play
and leave the
Plants vs.
conclusions
Zombies,
for later.
you get it
Let
now.
the sunflower
Yep,
have
alright, get
everything
it.
exactly as
Because you need the
instructed.
sunflower
And the same goes for
sun.
the second one.
You need
If
sun
there's a
to
secret
grow
here, I don't want to
the
miss it
other
over some
ones.
tiny detail. All that was left was
But
to
you
water
only get
them and
50
give this
sun
strange
when you
purchase a
start the
chance to
levels.
prove itself. I went to bed with
So
the
also
feeling
it's
that
kind
the
of a fun
instructions
game.
hadn't told
You
me
actually-
everything.
You should actually watch my gaming series, by the way. Really? No ads.
At night, the
Why don't
house
watch
went
this peaceful
quiet,
without
and it was
ads?
in that silence that everything began.
Ooh, that was
At first, the
shiny.
movement was almost imperceptible,
gold
as if the
under it,
soil had
right?
simply taken a breath.
Yeah.
Then the earth split
It was like
open,
gold.
and that was when it became clear this was no ordinary
This was
sprouting.
a show.
The sprout shot upwards so fast, as if it were just catching up with time it had somehow missed earlier.
That's interesting.
In a matter of seconds, the plant covered a distance that takes ordinary flowers weeks.
What is this? I have no idea what I'm watching anymore.
The strangest
What
part
is
was that the
Why
second
did
pot
he grow a little orange nose? Did he pick me a nose or
was
something?
still completely empty.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex and I am the creator of
Hello,
this video.
Alex.
And by the way, it will continue very soon. I apologize, my English is not good. I wanted to show what I look like right away. So YouTube won't remove my monetization in the future. Right now, many channels are getting banned for using AI. But I put a lot of time and effort into the script
kind
and
of a funny way to
editing,
get
and I
banned.
hope you appreciate it by watching the video until the end. Your support is very important and helps me continue creating content on YouTube. Thank you, and now let's continue.
Yeah,
In the
like me.
morning, I
I'm
wasn't
helping
expecting
him
any
stay on
surprise at all.
YouTube. I'll get
At most,
banned
slightly damp
again and
soil on the
again.
windowsill. I walked up to the window automatically, still not fully awake. And that was the moment
see.
sleep ended instantly.
He's gonna be like shocked.
Over one night,
He
an
might
entire
faint
sunflower
because-
had grown,
because when he
completely,
sees-
in a pot, in my house. My first impulse was to make sure it was even real. And when the sunflower smiled back at me, the hallucination theory
Why is it
collapsed
looking at
completely.
me?
It was no longer just a flower.
you guys.
It was a creature reacting to me. But the second pot was still empty, and that immediately brought me back to that strange line in the
And
instructions.
also, I've been working on
The
this
answer
video
didn't come from my
since,
thoughts.
like 2
it came
days.
straight through the window with the sun. The sunflower literally made a little
I hope
sun,
you, like
a
and
real
subscribe
glowing little sun
and
hanging in
comment,
the air.
'cause I worked
At that
very hard
moment,
for
I
this
understood.
video.
The seller at the market really had sold me something far from ordinary.
Gosh.
It didn't burn, didn't sting, and didn't disappear. It simply waited to see
also,
what
like
I would do
And
next.
subscribe if you want to see more
And
videos
then
like
it
this.
hit me.
I react to
That was what it
more
meant that
videos.
one plant couldn't grow without the other. All right, let's test this
Yeah, it makes
all the way.
sense all of a sudden.
I simply
To
placed
him.
the little sun on the soil, and a second
I like to
later,
hold
I
that. It
regretted
was
not
cool.
thinking to film it
I will add
closer
it to my
earlier.
collection.
The soil
Actually-
answered at once, as if it had been
now
waiting
I'm gonna
for
use it to
exactly
grow.
that.
Ooh,
What
gold.
pushed its way out no longer looked like an
Goody.
ordinary sprout.
Goody.
A moment
Oh,
later,
you
a
said
pea
it?
shooter was standing in
From
front of
Mario?
me. Real.
What was that? This
What pushed its
festival.
way out no longer looked like an ordinary sprout. A moment later, a pea shooter was standing in front of me.
What is that? Look at his real nose. This is not what I kissed. It was like a real turtle.
Real, alive, and also in a pot. For the first time in my life, I was standing
What? Why do you have real teeth all of a sudden? It doesn't even make sense.
between two plants, trying to decide which one shocked me more.
Looks like he's
You,
from-
I think,
from a
are
different
pretty
universe.
clear.
He
You
has
make
no idea
magical
who he
little
is.
suns. And you, apparently, can do something rather practical, too. The answer came faster than I had
Why
time
is
to
he
wonder
hairy?
whether testing that indoors
Why
was
is
a
he
good
hairy all of a
idea.
sudden?
One shot was enough to explain its operating principle
Pete.
without any instructions at
Like
all.
that.
The vase was the first
That
casualty,
thing's going to
and
jail.
hopefully
What he did to the vase and the wall? It cracked. No.
the last. I immediately
This
introduced a
dude
new
should
house
go
rule:
to
no
jail.
shooting indoors. After that, the decision was
Because of
obvious. Both
breaking
plants were moving
the
outside.
walls.
Fresh air, sunlight, and more room around
You
me.
guys
That felt like
get
a
it?
reasonable compromise between
Because
care
you
and
broke it?
preservation. I picked my spot right away, with a good field of view and as much sun as possible. And then fairly ordinary gardening days began. Well,
Also, I
as
only
ordinary
have,
as they
like,
can be
full
with tenants like these. The sunflower quickly found its rhythm and started supplying me with a new resource on a regular basis.
That was sun.
I decided not to hoard miracles too early and to invest them into the growth of the second plant. The growth came quickly and very confidently, too confidently for ordinary gardening. I stuck to the routine strictly: water, fertilizer, sunlight, and constant observation. Sometimes they seemed to genuinely enjoy the care itself. The more often it happened, the less impossible all of this began to feel, and the more dangerous that was for common sense. Each such boost seemed to push the second plant one step further. Very quickly, they stopped feeling like a cute oddity and started to feel like real partners. I started measuring their height because when everything is abnormal, numbers are oddly calming.
They look like the same size.
The marks on the fence rose with them, and even to me, it looked far too fast.
The towel? What is this? AI. Stop it.
Even a cloudy hour now felt like an important part of their routine. When it became clear the growth was going too fast, I decided to start setting some of the resources
You
aside.
guys would see.
The stockpile kept growing. I still didn't know exactly what it would be useful for, but throwing something like that away was
That's one sus sunflower. I was like the imposter from Among Us.
obviously foolish. The pea shooter started to gain real mass, and that was impressive
They look
even
the
without
same
the shots.
size.
The sunflower no longer looked like a fragile flower. It looked like a confident
They look like the
producer of
same
energy.
size.
After a growth rate like that, your shots.
Why did the sunflower?
The sunflower no longer looked like a fragile flower. It looked like a confident producer of energy.
Look at the sunflower.
After a
stared at
growth
him
rate like
like,
that, your
really?
hand naturally starts sprinkling the fertilizer a little less generously. The last feedings produced an especially sharp jump.
Okay, they look
From
so
that moment on, I stopped
Did the
rushing to
pop
spend
go
everything immediately.
Two? What?
That was when I made the final
It makes
decision.
sense because
No more unnecessary
pop
acceleration. The reserve had stopped feeling like a
because
curiosity
it's on your
and started to
plant.
feel like a resource for something serious.
baby
I decided
bean.
to just keep watching. Since I now had a living shooter, it seemed logical to test just how accurate he really was. The first shot was so precise that I immediately forgot all skepticism. Training, it seemed, was going to be informal but extremely effective. He looked as if he himself had been waiting for a more difficult
70
task.
minutes.
Next, I decided to test accuracy on smaller
7 more
targets.
minutes. Until the veil
At that point,
finishes.
it became clear. Any misses were more likely to be my
Not
problem
this
than
veil,
his.
the veil
A stationary target is one thing, but how would he handle a moving one? The answer
a
was
wheel?
far too confident, even
he-
for a moving
can-
target.
You take it down?
Then I
Well, you
decided
did.
to move on to thematic
try a
targets,
zombie
for the
just
sake
for
of
fun or
scientific
something?
rigor, of course. He had no trouble
Oh,
hitting
he's
the
doing it
zombie
for
drawing
training.
either.
Why
Back
does the
then, it
zombie
still
look like
seemed
that?
like a joke, but the practice
Okay,
turned out
the
suspiciously
kind doesn't
useful.
look like
With a tougher target, it became clear that protection
that?
was already affecting the result.
What?
So now I had to watch not only power, but distance too. Even at range, the pea shooter worked with surprising consistency.
What is that stuff?
The sunflower quickly joined the training too, as if it were proud of the results as well. At that point, it looked like a fun exercise. A few hours later, it became a matter of survival. After training, I was sure the strangest episode of the day was already behind me, but the television immediately decided to
What?
prove otherwise.
What's the
The
danger?
news was talking about zombies walking through the
So
city
see,
and
zombies
climbing
are
into
taking
people's
over the whole
homes in
world.
search of brains. And these were not abstract horror stories. There were very specific zombies on the screen. At that exact moment, I remembered
Crazy
the
Dave.
strange seller from the market. He had tried to warn me. I had simply taken it as a joke. If these were the same zombies, then the plants weren't for an
Nice.
experiment. They were for
He was like, he
defense.
doesn't even sleep.
I had to react immediately while the threat was still on the far side of the
minute.
house.
The
I
last time
ran
he
out to the
slept
plants
was
with one
the
thought.
first time he grew
Please
the
let him not
sunflower.
have lied about what they're good for.
TV's glitching.
The yard was much too quiet
What?
for good news.
I spotted the
Zombies.
first one
No, actually,
immediately.
look at
And
that
yes,
in the game.
it was definitely
The
a
game's like
zombie
2D,
with no
so they
discounts
do
for
not look like
fatigue
that.
or imagination. When it landed on my lawn,
fell.
it was already too late to argue with reality.
Why does I
Fortunately,
look like
the pea shooter didn't waste time on doubt.
that? AI actually
The
makes
moment lasted
funny
a
stuff
second,
sometimes.
but it felt like the start of an entire war.
He looks
I
like
was
he's about to
genuinely
fall asleep.
happy, like I'd just passed an important exam, except the exam involved a corpse. And that was when it became
zombies gotta
clear
pay for that.
this had only been a warm-up. Good thing my shooter
Zombies
wasn't the
got paid
timid
for
type.
that. Wait, what? How did it fit itself?
As
I guess
long as the
no
enemies
zombies
were
have to pay
ordinary,
nothing.
everything was still under control. Every precise hit gave me more confidence that we'd make it. And then a more
Ooh, first
serious
cone had
version
that
climbed onto the
human
lawn,
video.
one with a traffic cone on its head. That was when I realized one basic pea shooter might not be enough. It was clearly
Why
taking
is
more
his
punishment
head
than the
breaking? This should only happen. You see, the cone is breaking, but why his head? It doesn't even make sense. Is the cone
previous
cone
ones.
actually his real head?
Then I remembered the reserve that had been sitting nearby
Sun.
all this time, waiting
What is
for
he
its
going to do
moment.
with the sun? Grow more
So
something?
that was what they were for. Not for beauty, not for collecting. All that was left was to hope the plant would understand me as quickly as it had in the morning. The reaction was instant. The next stage was far more
this does
serious
not
than I
actually happen in
expected.
the game.
We now had a triple
You
shooter.
have to play this
Now a
match with
completely
zombies
different
plus
kind of firepower
PvZ
spoke on the lawn.
fusion.
The cone was no longer
way to
enough to
win,
save
you have
them,
to
and for the first time I truly exhaled.
Plants.
And then an
But
even
how does it
nastier
make sense?
enemy
That's how you
arrived,
in the
a
video
zombie
game.
with a bucket on its head. That was when it became clear that even the new level might not be enough. When an enemy doesn't fall after a
Why
volley like
just don't
that,
kick it
your heart starts
when
working
this is
very
happening?
differently.
Right? Don't kick it. Kick it.
There was one last reserve left, and there was no time to keep waiting.
Is he
If
gonna
I was going to
upgrade the
upgrade,
Pishio
then
again?
all the way.
Let's see what's this ultimate form. Let's see what this is.
The
Fire
second
triple
transformation no longer
Pishio?
felt like growth. It felt like a weapon waking up. A second later, a fire pea shooter was already standing in
What
front of
happened to
me.
the heads? Did
Even
they
from the
melt?
sound alone, it was clear this was a complete... It felt like a weapon waking up.
Just rewind
A second later, a
that,
fire
look.
pea shooter was already standing in front of me.
Look, guys.
Even from the sound alone, it was clear this was a
He
completely
shoots
different kind of
fireball.
shot.
He fell off.
Hit worked instantly, and far more brutally than ordinary peas.
Oh, he's boning.
When the fire swept through the wave, the yard finally had a chance to hold out to the end. The attack phase gave way to the retreat phase.
Nah, this is gonna be the last ad. Got it?
This
Got
game
it?
is way more relaxing than you'd
What is
expect from a
this?
police game.
Stuff.
You recruit your team,
I always get
fight
these.
crime, protect the streets,
well, every time I
slowly
play a
build
game,
a
I
first-class
get this
police
hat.
station.
And every time I watch a video of my favorite YouTubers,
All the waves were repelled,
This happens.
and I knew for certain that without these plants, I wouldn't have survived even the first evening.
Hey, it's the music after you complete a level and claim a new plant.
It felt like I could finally breathe for at least a minute, but the silence didn't last long again.
What
A helicopter hovered over me, right above my lawn. After a zombie attack, for some reason that no
Why they got
longer
knocked
felt
down?
like the strangest thing.
Why did it go back up? How? Crazy day!
And at the controls was that
Who knew
very
he's
same
gonna be
seller from the
drive a
market.
helicopter.
Instead of a normal
just give
conversation,
him a
he of course
message.
chose the strangest possible way
Just
to send a
drop-
message. It landed right beside our improvised
How did-
defensive
I
position.
don't think he was survived by his own.
After dropping the message, Dave
plant
disappeared
himself?
at once,
He
as if his
doesn't
only
actually do
job
that in
had
the
been to
game.
remind me this
But he
wasn't
just,
over. And
you-
I
you
realized
do
the
it.
next
You just
instruction
plant.
would matter even more than the first
You
one.
just plant them.
The text was
But
short and
Crazy
very
Dave,
direct.
the
Don't
first time he
celebrate
appeared
yet.
was
The zombies will return, and I will need new plants.
Yeah,
At the end of the
level 5,
instructions, there was an address
Dave?
written. Looks like that's where I
Man.
need to go.
That the last
So
time he
today's
has been
victory
seen was
wasn't the end of the
roof
story.
level
It was
10.
only the first
That's the
trial.
last time he has been seen.
Now I believed it
That
completely.
in
Plants like these
PvZ
can save
2,
lives.
He will
Friends,
tell me.
as you have probably realized,
I never
this
played
is not
PvZ
the
before.
end of the story. It's just the beginning. I'm planning to create a full series based on the PvZ universe. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments which plants and zombies you'd like to see in the next episode. Your support means a lot to me. Thank you for watching until the end and see you next time.
Bye. Okay, so I want to show you his YouTube channel. Then I'm reading down the name of the channel. So you can search up the Rascalio. You just go to the week of the name of the video. Bye. See you in next one. Also, if you like to see more reacting videos, make sure to like and subscribe and comment. Bye.